Well, welcome everybody to the Rental Rescue Show. I am Christopher Barrow. This is Darcy Barrow. And today we are just going to jump right into it and teach you how listing your property for rent at the right time can dramatically change your results.
Now, we've seen this every day in our rental business. Since we started, 16 years ago, we started to pick up on the trends pretty quickly. And it's one of the top questions we get when a new landlord comes to us at our brick and mortar property management company, Foundation Homes Property Management, located in Marin County. It's one of the top questions we get is, what's the best time to list my rental? Is now a good time? And people want to know, how can they situate themselves to get the best results? And if you're asking yourself that question, I applaud you, because it's a strategic question to be asking.
So here's the problem. People don't realize that if you list your property at the wrong time, and you really reduce the amount of rent you can command. Not only will it affect you the first time around, but it will affect you year on and year after until you change the time that you list your property for rent, or just change the rental cycle in general.
Yeah. So if you can control the world, then awesome for you. But if you can't, we're going to give you some strategies today to talk about how to get on that good cycle and how to approach your
putting
strategy.
Thousands of dollars back in your pocket. So we're going to go over 3 steps, and we're just going to jump right into.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Step number 1, know what drives your rental market. Who is renting your property? Why would they do that?
So a lot of DIY landlords, no matter what market you're in, may not know that this is a question you need to ask, right? If you ask, say you have a realtor who sold you a property and your landlord, and you're turning it into investment, you say, when's the best time to list my home? Well, that realtor may not know. And you may not have any choice because you've just closed on the home and now you've got a vacant property, right? What you need to do is make some calls. You need to call around to the people who will know, who are the property management companies.
I know a couple of property management companies.
Do you?
I know one really great property management company.
We know like a gazillion property management companies because we network throughout the US. And we can tell you, the property management companies are the ones who are doing the in and out, right? They know the tenant volume in their area. And not all areas are the same. Here in Marin County, our strong sales market is with the spring market. So as a lot of families are popping around in homes here and they're selling their homes, that too is what's driving the rental market. So in Marin County, the spring is hands down the absolute best time to have your rental property on the market. Now, that's not to say the summer can't work or the fall can't work. In our market, we do see a quick pop in the fall, but we know every year that as we get into October, we start switching our strategy and advising our clients differently, because you have to approach it differently in our market when you have a rental in November, December, January.
Okay, yeah, and not only is the time of year, not only can the time of year really impact your rental property, but also where it's located. And sometimes the time of year and where it's located have a really dramatic impact. So if you want to hedge your bets, maybe you're in an area that isn't pushed by a school district or isn't pushed by amenities, and that area generally is, maybe it's further away from the city, like some parts of Marin County. Those areas generally take a little bit longer to rent, and they also are very susceptible to market conditions. So the timing becomes very, very critical inside of those areas. So again, yes, talking to your local property manager, finding out when the best time is to rent your property, and also how you can reset that rental cycle, which is a great point.
Yeah, but before we jump into section 2, just one more thing on the first topic on knowing your market. A lot of people, especially throughout the US, there are different types of markets. Like you may live in a military area, right? Where maybe you don't see the same cycles that everywhere, because they're constantly bringing new military families in. So that's a whole different market, but you want to know how your market performs, right? Maybe you live in a popular ski destination, right? So maybe it's somewhere like Aspen or Tahoe, where you're going to see a lot of activity over that holiday season, right? So you want to know that about your rental. Maybe you live somewhere on the East Coast where you can get, what do they call them? Nor'easters, or something that affects how tenants are prospectively going to be moving around. So every market is different, and you want to be asking the questions so you understand what is special about your market and what drives your market. So ask a property manager, or if you're talking to a real estate agent, ask someone who actually spends a lot of time leasing properties, not just someone who sells properties. They're not going to know. Someone who leases properties.
And so what if you have a property that comes available in off time? Maybe it's like in the winter time or a time where there's nobody looking for rentals. What do you do then? And that's a question that comes up all the time. Generally, in our area, you can actually kind of get a better deal in wintertime to buy a property, to buy a rental property, because the market is slowed down. So people oftentimes will buy a rental property in the slower market and want to rent it. But they're in this position now, like, well, I'm not going to be able to maximize how much money I can get from my rental property. So what do I do?
So we do see people losing sleep over this. And really, we're not telling you this. We don't want you to lose sleep over this. Here's the thing about owning a rental property. It's a long game, right? You're not in it for the quick fix unless you've got a specific scenario where you're only leaving for a year. Then it just is what it is and you're renting your home when it comes up and it doesn't matter. But everyone else, you're in it for the long run. So let's say the first year you're not on the perfect cycle. Big whoop. We're going to take your lease whenever it's available, and we're going to talk through your strategy, and we're going to write it so that the lease ends at the ideal time.
Exactly.
So it may not be a typical 12-month lease. And I'll give the example of our personal rental that we just did. We're leaving in August, and so the home's available in August. That's not quite perfect for our market. It's just a little bit late. So we made our home available either for a 10-month lease or for an 18-month lease, available, renewable for every 12 months thereafter, because we know how important it is to have a home in our area in Marin on the market in the spring.
So let me tell you how that can really impact your ROI. So not only can you get a little bit more money per month for your rental in the hot times, but also it minimizes the vacancy period. And as we all know,
if you've been following
us, I'm going to get a t-shirt that says this,
you should.
is that vacancy is the number one ROI killer. So if you can reduce your vacancy even by 1 week or 2 weeks, that's thousands of dollars that could be put back in your pocket. And then your property will reset year after year on that same cycle. And that's just going to increase your ROI. In addition, you're going to be able to increase rents, because in hot times of the market, tenants don't have as many rentals to choose from. So that's going to help you, number one, leverage the fact of limited supply to do increases at the renewal time, but also keep your tenants in place, because they're not going to want to move in a hot rental time, right? So that's another thing you should think about when you are considering renting your property. And again, the long-term game. Maybe you don't rent it for 12 months the first time around, you rent it for 6 months or 18 months, but the next time around, you're going to be really positioned well to take advantage of the market.
Right. And it also depends what your end goal is. And if you've been following us, you know we preach about strategy a lot, right? We're not about just throwing your property out there, renting it. We're about, what's your end goal? Are you eventually moving back in? Are you eventually going to sell this property? Is this a long-term rental? And are we going to look at the long-term ROI and how we can long-term increase value at this property? So you need to be asking yourself these sorts of questions no matter what time of year your property comes up, so you can decide your strategy for what length lease you're going to put out there to have the best results.
So what if we can't control the lease term or legislation conditions, like you're in a month-to-month lease and it's just rolling over month to month, you're getting into the winter, it's getting a little scary, you don't know if your tenant's going to leave or not. How can you control that to keep you on track?
So this is step 3. Step 3 is figuring out alternative solutions when things don't go your way, right? So there's a lot of different, like Christopher said, a lot of different legislative changes coming across in different states. In California, we've got AB 1482 that came about in early 2020 that made a lot of properties rent control, and then all kinds of crazy legislation since then. So sometimes you may get your property on this ideal rental cycle, but your tenants won't necessarily renew. So there are they won't renew for like a 1 year, right? They just go month to month. Or we meet a lot of landlords out there in other areas. We don't see this too much in our area, but in other areas where they just want to go month to month and they feel like that gives them better protection. So we don't recommend month to month usually, because inevitably your tenant is going to give you notice right before Thanksgiving, which in most markets is like the worst time, and you're almost guaranteed extended vacancy, right? So you really want to hedge yourself against that by not allowing a lease to end. But if you can't avoid a month to month, or you really feel strongly about it, there are ways that we in our portfolio are working to entice our tenants to sign a 12-month lease through incentives. So usually we give them 2 different price points. If you would like to go month to month, and if we can't prevent them from doing so, then you get essentially the maximum price raise that the law in our area is allowing at this time. However, if you would like to sign on for a 12-month lease or whatever lease term it is that property needs, then we're going to give you this preferred rate. And what we're finding is a lot of people do prefer the preferred rate.
And also a lot of tenants prefer to know that they have some security, because in addition to them being able to give you notice at any time on a month-to-month lease, you can also give them notice on a month-to-month lease. In California, it's a little bit different, but you do have to provide a longer lead time for the tenants. The tenants have to provide you, but there's also that security and certainty element that tenants, like to grasp onto. And if they can get a better deal on the rent, why not?
It's a
right?
win-win. It's
right?
a win-win for everyone. Other incentives that we've seen landlords use is maybe there's a repair request that tenant has asked for. It's not a habitability issue, so the landlord doesn't have to do it, but it's something they want. Like, what's a good example? Maybe they want a room repainted.
Or they want a new microwave or a new oven or something like that.
Or they want like the back deck power washed or something like that.
Windows cleaned.
Windows cleaned, yeah. Or we had a tenant recently want new window drapes in the bedroom.
Or having the carpets cleaned, right? That's another one. So
or like a Lamborghini.
Or whatever. A winning lottery ticket. Whatever you can provide to them that's going to encourage them to commit to 12 months. I say go for it within reason. But listen, things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing that we want to drive home today is that there's always this unknown element. There's always variables that you can't control, but being able to anticipate them and being able to anticipate how you're going to deal with them when they do come up is actually going to be the biggest key for success long term.
So one of the biggest mistakes we see DIY landlords or new landlords or even landlords who've been in the game a long time and have just kind of been sleepwalking and coasting, the biggest mistake we see landlords make is failing to treat your property like a business. And look, it's not your fault, right? The media, the whole world out there tells you, buy this rental property. It's the rich dad, poor dad. It's the HGTV. It's the flip or flop, right? Just buy the thing and you're going.
And money's just gonna start flying out the window.
Flying.
It's gonna be right. I'm flying from the window into your house, into your pocket, actually.
But here's the thing. Buying the thing is 25% of the journey. Congratulations if you're there. You're already way ahead of everybody else. But there's another 75% of this deal that nobody talks about. And that's why nobody knows about. And that's managing the thing. And that's where all your money gets made. The money is in the details, my friend.
So if you think about it in terms of buying a house, you walk in a house is amazing. That's like the 25% of it. But the 75% of the work is like going underneath the house and like digging through all the dirt in the foundation and all that stuff. You'll do that. It's not fun, but you do it. And then look, you identify problems and you fix them. But yes, there's a lot of work. And that 75%, that difference is what's going to determine whether or not you're going to have a successful business or a business that's going to cost you money long term.
Right. And look, you didn't get into this rental property business to have a second or third job, right? You got into it
to make money.
To make money.
Wealth build.
To have that retirement dream, the toes in the sand, the pina colada or mango colada, for those of us who are allergic to pineapple, to have that dream where you're sitting on a beach, you're working on your time, and you're making money while you sleep.
You're showing up the way you want to every single day of your life.
Right. So you can have that dream if you take the steps, if you have a playbook, if you have someone by your side, either A, doing it for you, right? If you want to hire a property management company, let them worry about all this legislation and strategy and make sure they're a partner who can advise you. So you can be the dude in the sand with the cocktail and the kids in the water and all that fun stuff. Or you can do it yourself as long as you take the proper steps to educate yourself. What you cannot do is exist in the in-between.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake that most people make. And that's the mistake that will leave you as a landlord running for the hills, selling your property, wanting nothing to do with being a landlord, ready to get out of the business. And you will be losing the potentially hundreds of $1,000s of personal wealth building you could have if you just set the thing up right to begin with.
You can be reactive as a landlord, but the landlords that make the most money and have the most long-term success, and then the ones that you hear about in the news or in books, are the ones that are proactive 100% of the time.
And are treating their rental properties like a business.
Exactly.
Which is everything that we are here to teach you as Foundation Homes Property Management. We can be your property management partner. We take care of all this jazz for you. If you are one of our lease-only clients, or if you are one of our nationwide members of our audience, we run the Landlord Code. We are the co-founders. We have our course launching soon, and we will be there to hold your hand every step of the way and show you how to be the best landlord that you can be.
So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Foundation Homes Property Management, Sheila can drop a link in the chat there for you. In addition, if you want to learn more about being a landlord or actually running or learning how to better manage your property management company that you're working with, check us out on the landlordcode.com. We're going to be here every week at Thursday on the Rental Rescue Show. And I'm super excited to announce our summer series, which is dropping on June 4th. It's going to be filled with experts, VIP opportunities for you to learn some really serious stuff about running your rental property like a business. And it's going to set you up for long-term success.
Yep. So we're announcing the lineup next week. And for everyone who's participated in our survey, thank you for giving the feedback on the topics.
Appreciate that.
We're announcing the lineup next week, and we will be here all summer long, every Thursday, June through August. I think we're taking one Thursday off for when
we're moving.
We're
moving.
Ourselves.
Yeah, well, we might do that in the truck. I mean, I don't know.
Do you think we should do like a
live from the airplane as our 2-year-old starts ripping off his mask? I don't know. I mean,
we're gonna be those
people. As we get carried off the airplane.
We're working on it.
Exactly. So, well, we appreciate your time today, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Again, we are the Rental Rescue Show. I'm Christopher Barrow. This is Darcy Barrow. See you next time.
We'll see
In the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy. Take care.
Everyone.
Bye.